How's it going, everyone? I hope you enjoyed watching football today. I usually don't get to watch football on a Sunday. I'm watching the 49ers the whole time, and then I have to catch up on Tuesday to see who won and who had good games and who stinks and who's hot and all that stuff. But I got to watch like a fan today, which was a lot of fun. And now the playoff picture is clearer. The whole conversation is different. I have like 7 topics I want to go through, things that are on my mind. I can answer anything that's on your mind. But let's start with the standings right now. The Niners are now, they're still the 9 seed, but Arizona's out. Arizona lost to the Rams. Arizona is the 8th seed, and the 6th seed is the Vikings. The Vikings are 6-6. The Niners are 5-6. If the Niners beat the Bills tomorrow, and I think they will beat the Bills, and if you don't know why, I just posted my video, top 5 reasons why the Niners are going to beat the Bills. Check it out. I also wrote an article about it on sportsillustrated.com. Check it out. So the Vikings 6-6. If the Niners win, they're 6-6, but the Vikings will still be the 7th seed for now, because the Vikings have a better record against NFC teams than the Niners. That is the first tiebreaker, I believe. So the Vikings are 4-4 against NFC teams, and the Niners are 3-5. Okay, so that's saying, in that sense, the Niners could win the rest of their games and not make the playoffs, because if the Vikings also win the rest of their games, they're in. So that's tough. The Niners don't control their destiny. That's the bad news. The good news is the Vikings almost certainly will not win the rest of their games. They have to play Tampa in Tampa, and they got to play New Orleans, I believe, in New Orleans. So that's no matter where they play those games. They could play those games in Antarctica. Kirk Cousins is going to lose. That's how I feel. So those are 2 losses at least lingering out there. No, let's go through it real quick. Let's not guess. Vikings schedule. You tell me. I mean, they're an okay team, but they have to face they're in Tampa next week. Then they got the Bears at home. They'll beat the Bears. Then they got in New Orleans the week after that, and then in Detroit. Detroit's not great, but the biggest problem they had was Matt Patricia. They just got rid of him. That's 3 of their next 4 games on the road. I think they're going to fall back. I think if the Niners win 4 of their next 5, they'll make the playoffs, because I think the Vikings are going to lose at least 2 of their remaining 4. At least 2. I think if the Niners lose to the Bills and then win out, they'll make it. But I'm just guessing. It's possible the Niners beat the Bills, win out, and still don't make the playoffs. That's how precarious and hairy things are right now. But it's very interesting. And one thing that's interesting is the Cardinals falling back to earth. I don't really believe in them. They kind of have a couple good players, their quarterback and their wide receiver, Deandre Hopkins. And if you have a way to cover Deandre Hopkins, you beat them. And I don't believe in their coach, Cliff Kingsbury. Remember, Cliff Kingsbury coached Patrick Mahomes in college and could not win. He got fired from Texas Tech after coaching Patrick Mahomes. Imagine the advantage he had coaching that kid and still couldn't win in the Big 12. Something about him. He's another Bill Belichick disciple who stinks, I think. Maybe he has good ideas. Maybe he's smart, but he's not a leader of men. Doesn't seem. Wasn't a leader of kids in college. So they're falling back to earth. They just lost to the Rams. They got to play the Rams again. They got to play the Niners again. They're not the team that I've got to worry about. It's the Vikings. So that'll be interesting. Watch out for the Vikings. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's see. So let's project how this NFC West is going to finish. I mean, I think a lot of people figured early on it was going to be Seahawks 1, Arizona 2, Rams 3, 49ers 4. It looked like it was going to be that way when Jimmy Garoppolo went down, Nick Bosa went down. A couple of weeks ago, I believe I came on here and said, don't be surprised if the Rams win the NFC West. I said they haven't played the Cardinals yet. They match up really well with the Cardinals. They can put Jalen Ramsey on DeAndre Hopkins, take him out of the game, and win. That's what happened today. Is that not what happened today? Real quick, let's look at DeAndre Hopkins' line against the Rams. I believe I predicted this. If I didn't say it, I should have. Hopkins, 8 catches, 52 yards and a touchdown. 52 yards. That ain't going to get it done. So they're going to lose again to the Rams. That team's going nowhere. Let's recalibrate. Let's have a new prediction of how this division is going to wind up. I'm sticking with it. I think the Rams are going to win this division. I think the Niners have swept the division winner of the NFC West, the Rams. I mean, you saw the Seahawks today. They just lost. They just lost to the freaking Giants. They lost to Colt McCoy. I don't understand. I mean, Nick Mullins destroyed that team. Who's to say Nick Mullins can't beat the Seahawks? So the Seahawks. The Seahawks are overrated too. The Seahawks and Cardinals are really similar. The Seahawks are 2 players, Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf, basically. And the Cardinals are 2 players, Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. The Seahawks stink on third down. All you got to do is take away the big plays. Don't let Russell Wilson throw deep. Make him get to third down. They're one of the worst third down offenses in the league. They converted like 30-something% of the time. In this game, the longest catch for freaking anyone on the Seahawks was what? Hold on, I'll tell you. This is what the Giants did. Take away the big play. Longest catch was 28 yards by Chris Carson. Longest catch for Metcalf, 21 yards. Longest catch for Lockett, 24 yards. That's it. You just make them check the ball down, make them get the third down. They stink. Their offensive line stinks. DK Metcalf doesn't run routes. He just goes deep. Their tight end, Greg Olson's beat up. Their running game isn't that good. The Seahawks aren't that good. The Rams are going to win the division. Seahawks will finish second. The Niners will finish third. And the Cardinals will finish last. And this Cliff Kingsbury guy is going to enter the offseason on the freaking hot seat. He's going to need to make the playoffs next year or else he'll get fired. And someone else who's good will be able to coach Kyler Murray and not waste that guy's career, talent, life. So that'll be interesting. It's going to be fun watching Cliff Kingsbury tank, crash, and burn the next. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. That's the kind of thing I like. It's entertaining to me. Moving on. Are the Bills the toughest team remaining on the 49ers schedule? I mean, let's think about it. The Niners could lose on Monday and win out because coming up after them, they got Washington. They're going to beat Washington. Washington stinks. Dallas stinks. I mean, I'm not saying the Niners will win out, but again, is Buffalo the toughest team left on their schedule? Buffalo's good. Washington ain't. Dallas ain't. Is Arizona good? I mean, theoretically, they give the Niners trouble, but really, the Niners have had a lot of practice stopping defending teams like them. They're going to have a much better idea of how to defend that team. It's a very smart defense, an excellent defensive coordinator. The game plan is going to be better. They're going to do better against I think the Bills are better than the Cardinals right now, even though I think the Cardinals beat the Bills. I think the Bills are better than the Cardinals right now. And the Seahawks just lost to Colt McCoy. So if the Niners win this game, I think it's legit to wonder if they're going to win out. If they lose this game, it's fair to say, you know what? They're still going to probably win out. Let's see what the Vikings do against Tampa and New Orleans. Because I don't really trust Minnesota. That's the one. Those are tough. Those are really tough games. They might beat Tampa. I don't think they're going to beat New Orleans, though. But they did beat New Orleans last year in the playoffs. So what do I know? It'll be tough. I'm going to say about that. So I do think the Bills are the toughest team on the Niners schedule remaining. And if the Niners win this game, it's a huge deal. You know, I noticed some of the coverage around the Bay Area today was like treating the team as if it was done, like looking ahead to the end of the season, doing features, big picture stuff. You know, like this is the biggest game of the Niners have played in such a long, all year. It's the biggest game they've played since the Super Bowl. It feels like a playoff game. I can't wait. And I think the Niners are gonna, even if they lose, it'll be really close. Their defense is way too good. They're gonna have a great plan. They're gonna make Josh Allen's life miserable. I believe that. They're going to do a great job on Stephon Diggs. If they can't stop Stephon Diggs, and they got no chance week 16 and week 17, they got no chance against Hopkins. They got no chance against Metcalf. It's a good practice for the Niners at the end of the year. One of the elite wide receivers in the league. If they do a good job in this game, there's no reason to think the Niners defense can't carry them all the way to the playoffs. It's a great test for the Niners defense. Let's keep pushing. All right, this is interesting. Carson Wentz got benched. Jalen Hurts replaced him. What's up with Carson Wentz? Could he be available? Like, financially, the answer is no. There's no way that the Eagles should trade Carson Wentz. There's way too much dead money they would have to take on. Like, they'd be paying him to play for another team. Millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. A lot. But if they're committed to the head coach who technically won a Super Bowl for them, and maybe they like him, if they're committed to Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson wants Jalen Hurts and wants to move on from Carson Wentz and doesn't like Carson Wentz, doesn't want to coach Carson Wentz, has beef with Carson Wentz, then who's to say what a bad organization will do? They might trade Carson Wentz for nothing. They might sell low on Carson Wentz and eat the dead cap with all of it. In which case, I'm asking you, is that someone the Niners should be interested in? Should they take whichever quarterback is available when they pick? I mean, the Niners might make the playoffs. The Niners might pick in the 20s. Should they take someone at the end of the first round or in the teens, trade up for someone, mortgage their future, or trade a third, a fourth, a fifth for Carson Wentz, who was the second pick in the draft, who was an MVP candidate, who is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league this year? You know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to put it like this. You remember how promising Baker Mayfield played his rookie year. Then last year, it all fell apart. They brought in Odell Beckham. He had the best skill players in the league, and he was awful. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Was it his fault? It looked like his starting career was on life support, kind of like Carson Wentz right now. Then they get rid of Freddie Kitchens and that ridiculous RPO, dink and dunk, Doug Peterson-esque, Matt Nagy-esque offense that I can't freaking stand. And I've been saying I can't stand it since like 2018. And people are like, you're an idiot. And they don't say it like that. But they're like, no, Matt Nagy's good. It's all Trubisky's fault. No, Doug Peterson's fault. Good. It's all Wentz's fault. You get rid of Freddie Kitchens. You get a new coordinator for what's his fool's name? Baker Mayfield. Kevin Stefanski, who's nothing special. He's just, instead of the RPO stuff, which is shotgun play action, that's what it is. You put the shotgun with the running back coming around real quick. You extend the ball into his belly. It's a quick play action with a quick throw, a slant, an out, a 7-yard throw, a 10-yard throw. That's the RPO system. It's a dink and dunk system. You're looking for a high completion percentage, but not big plays. All of a sudden, you get rid of that, which doesn't play to Baker Mayfield's strengths. He has a strong arm. That's why he was the number one pick in the draft. He shouldn't be throwing 7-yard passes. He should be throwing bombs. So you get rid of that crap gimmick offense that worked in 2017, and you bring in just a competent Sean McVay style, Kyle Shanahan style, Greg Kubiak knockoff in this, what's his face? Kevin Stefanski, the guy who had 7 first downs against Robert Saleh. You just bring that guy in, put Baker Mayfield under center, give him a run game, give him some competent, heavy formation, 2 tight end, 3 tight end, aggressive play action, back to the defense, throw downfield. He looks great. Browns 9-3. Oh my God, what an amazing turn of events. Maybe scheme matters. Maybe you have to put these players in position to be their best. And maybe the Eagles aren't doing that with Carson Wentz. I saw Jalen Hurts. If that's who Doug Peterson thinks is the best quarterback on his roster, that's just another indictment on him. Jalen Hurts is Tim Tebow. Like, he'll make some exciting plays. Tim Tebow won some games in the NFL. He's painfully inaccurate. There was that one play in this game where he's rolling to his left and he had Greg Ward wide open at the sideline and he threw it over his head. There was another one where he dropped back, 5-step drop, No one around him in the pocket. First read open on the right side near the sideline. One hopper, like down and away. He threw a sinker. Nah. I'm sorry. Jalen Hurts, good athlete, not accurate enough. He's Tim Tebow. So I don't know what Philly's thinking, what they're thinking there. He's freaking Tim Tebow. Carson Wentz is better than Baker Mayfield. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know what's going on there. They ruined that guy. If the Niners could get their hands on Carson Wentz for a fourth or a fifth, do you understand what he could do in this offense? He could make throws that Jimmy Garoppolo and Nick Mullins couldn't even dream about. No offense to Jimmy Garoppolo and Nick Mullins, who do what they do well in their own right. Carson Wentz, though, some of the throws that Baker Mayfield was making today off play action deep down the field. Can you imagine Carson Wentz? I mean, he would increase the limit of this offense tenfold. It would be really. He can also protect himself in the pocket. I saw him do it with my own eyes against the Niners. So if the Niners can somehow finagle, I don't know what the word is, finesse the Eagles for Carson Wentz, they should think about that. All right. So yeah, that's another one. Now I got another one. I got another topic too, because this is like also in the same vein. Let me just get the stats up first before I say this, because you guys are going to tune out real quick. Hold the phone. All right. So, okay. Stick with me here, guys. What I'm trying to say is, yeah, I'm pro Wentz. And now listen to this. Is Mitchell Trubisky a good option for the 49ers? Stick with me. Hear me out. Okay. Everything I just said about Carson Wentz, now apply that to Mitchell Trubisky. Okay. Both, what they have in common, they both were developed and played for these knockoff Andy Reid fraud coaches. They stink. Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson stink. They have no original ideas. They stole whatever ideas Andy Reid were using in 2017. He took the stuff that was cutting edge for Andy Reid 3 years ago, and that's what they're stuck with. Andy Reid has moved on. Andy Reid continually evolves like Kyle Shanahan. These guys, two of the worst coaches in the league, Matt Nagy, Doug Peterson. I was watching the Eagles right now. They were in that game. The defense really didn't even try hard. They gave up a 77-yard touchdown run. They had guys flying all over the field, just missing tackles. They look like they don't care. Both of those teams look like they don't care. They don't play for their coaches. Anyway, so you got Mitchell Trubisky with Nagy, Wentz with Peterson, Baker Mayfield with Freddie Kitchens. I put Peterson and Nagy on the Freddie Kitchens level in terms of coordinators in 2020. They just stink. They're killing their quarterbacks. If you get Mitchell Trubisky played well today. Mitchell Trubisky is like a poor man's Carson Wentz. He's mobile. He's more mobile than you'd think. He's pretty freaking mobile. Got a strong arm. Accuracy seems to be. I mean, everything else seems to be like, I don't know. Like, you're a disaster. You're broken. You're a disaster quarterback, and you're broken. But you were a top pick because you're toolsy. They're toolsy big guys who seem like they're on life support. Now, way more toolsy than Blake Bortles ever was. Blake Bortles stinks. These guys are better than them. I think Blake Bortles. I mean, he's not even a backup quarterback in the league anymore. I don't believe he wasn't even good enough to be a backup. Trubisky and Wentz, I think, are like Mayfield. You just put them in an offense where they can get under center and throw down the field, and they're not doing RPOs all the time. I'd like to see it. You see what it does for Baker Mayfield's career. I think it'll work for Carson Wentz. And the nice thing about Trubisky is that he theoretically could just be like, you could get him for like $1 million. You wouldn't have to trade anything for him. He'd just be there. He'd just be out there on the free agent market. It's possible no one would want him, and you could put him on the bench for a year, or you could start him and then have him be the bridge quarterback for whatever quarterback the Niners draft. I think like, I know people hate Mitchell Trubisky, and maybe this isn't something you guys want to hear, but to me, I always equated him and Wentz. They're similar. If you like Wentz, you're intrigued by Trubisky. If you hate Wentz, you freaking hate Trubisky. But I put Baker Mayfield in the same class. They are quarterbacks with big arms, questionable accuracy, and questionable feel for the game. But you give a quarterback a run game and a play action game, they all look better. Look at Baker. Imagine Wentz. Wentz has had injuries. He's older. He's more expensive. He'd cost a draft pick. Trubisky, younger, Also has had injuries. Wouldn't cost a draft pick. Way cheaper. If you get Wentz, you can't draft a quarterback too. If you get Trubisky, you can also draft a quarterback. You can hedge your bets. I don't gamble. I don't really know what those, but I think I used the word correctly. See what I'm saying? I just feel like Trubisky could do well with Shanahan. A lot of quarterbacks could do well with Shanahan. Nick Mullins does well with Shanahan. I think Trubisky is toolsier than even Jimmy Garoppolo. And if you go back and read what Kyle Shanahan said about Mitchell Trubisky, he loved him. Google Kyle Shanahan, Mitchell Trubisky. There's all kind of quotes of Shanahan saying, "Yeah, my favorite quarterback in the draft. Would have loved to take him." Said it was his favorite quarterback in the draft. You know what? He was my favorite quarterback too. I hate to admit it. So, interesting options. And again, before we move on from Mitchell Trubisky, let me just point out what his numbers were today in a loss. He plays for Matt Nagy, who freaking stinks. And he comes in today and goes 26 of 34 for 267 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 108 quarterback rating. He also can run. And this guy's going to be available, and you can get him on like the Cam Newton contract to like, hey man, here's like the vet minimum. What do you say? Former number 3 pick. To me, I think when I look at Trubisky, I think he could really become like a Ryan Tannehill. Like Ryan Tannehill basically went from a crap situation with Adam Gase and a bad scheme, a bad coach. No one's going to do well with Adam Gase. Something to keep in mind with Sam Darnold. Then he goes to the Titans, and all he does is he hands off to the best running back in the league, and then he throws some play-action passes to one of the best wide receivers in the league, A.J. Brown. It's like handoff, play-action, 15-yard throw over the middle to A.J. Brown. Carson Wentz could do that. Mitchell Trubisky could do that. I think they'd be really good at that. With those kind of offenses, you want a quarterback like Tannehill, one of these former first-round picks who was toolsy, who was athletic, who was mishandled, because they actually do have the legs, the stature, the arm strength to pull off higher degree of difficulty throws, not just stand in the shotgun, hold the ball out a little bit. Oh, no, RPO, 5-yard dink and dunk throw. If that's what you want to do, sign Nick Foles. And you know what? That's exactly what the Bears want to do. And that's exactly what they did. They signed Nick Foles. Oh, he stinks. He's benched. And Trubisky's back. And Nagy is now demoted himself, benched himself as play caller. It's another Freddie Kitchen situation. You got to be honest when you see these Freddie Kitchen situations and be like, well, maybe there's a quarterback there, a diamond in the rough, a Jim Plunkett, someone who's being mishandled. If you got a keen eye, you got to look for the mishandled quarterbacks. Al Davis did that. Bill Walsh did that. He was looking at Steve Young. He was like, I think he'd do pretty good on my team. In that voice, through his nose. Tampa doesn't know what they're doing. Better bring him over here. That's how Bill Walsh talked when he was alone. That's what I heard, according to sources. Multiple sources. 0 sources. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk Zack Wilson. I still like Zack Wilson, but he had his first bad game of the season yesterday. And what I noticed about it was, for the first time basically this year, he had a bunch of bodies around him in the pocket. And I'm not saying he played poorly. He just didn't put up video game numbers for the first time this year. He plays with bad receivers. They drop some passes. But you put some bodies around him, all of a sudden, he's not the second coming. He's human. And in the NFL, that's going to be every game, especially if he's a top 5 pick. It's going to be all the time. So I don't really know what to make of Zack Wilson. I like the idea of Zack Wilson. I'll answer some of your questions. I know I'm not taking your tips and stuff. I'm on a roll. I'm on a freaking roll, guys. Here's what I want to say. I like Zack Wilson. When people look at him, I think people look at like, oh my God, he could be Patrick Mahomes, or a poor man's Patrick Mahomes, or a dynamic playmaker. He's the kind of quarterback I want. He's the kind of quarterback I want in 2020. He fits the mold. He's athletic. He can make plays on his own. He can protect himself. He can scramble. I think you get into trouble when you're scouting quarterbacks, when you're looking at what type of quarterback you want. That's not really the issue. You're trying to get the best quarterback because not all of these guys are going to be good. And some of these guys have more question marks than others. Zack Wilson, I'm not saying I see deficiencies in his game. He hasn't played enough in pressure to really know. But I have questions. And his performance last night against Coastal Carolina or whatever didn't erase him. I still question what it's going to look like when he's got pressure all around him. All I know is every time he's making a throw, the pocket is huge. There's no one around him. Everyone's like, oh my God, look at this throw he makes off his, while running to the side unnecessarily and flipping it underneath. Like, that's cool. It looks great, but there's no one around him. There were some guys around him last night. It didn't look so great. Zack Wilson, I have questions. Trey Lance, I have questions. 1 year wonder. He's had one good season in college football. A lot of guys have had one good year in college. Doesn't make you a great player. He played one game this year, then quit. Or what? It didn't quit. Their season ended. One game this year, and it wasn't that good. He completed like 50% of his passes. Who is Trey Lance? Is he a project? I mean, he might be great, but there's a lot of questions there. Zack Wilson, Trey Lance, a lot of questions. And another thing about Zack Wilson, BYU averages 5 yards a carry, 5.2 yards a carry. Justin Fields, Ohio State averages 5.5 yards per carry. I don't care who the quarterback is on the team, whether he's a Heisman candidate, he's a top 5 potential pick, he's famous. If an offense is averaging more than 5 yards a carry, every defensive coordinator's number one thing that they're going to emphasize that week is, guys, we got to stop the run. I don't care who that quarterback is. If we don't stop the run this week, they're not going to need to throw. So when these quarterbacks play at these schools that can just dictate the game with their run game, things get a lot easier. The defense is playing the run first. How about let's start there? They play the run before they play the pass. The run wears them down. The play action pass is effective. It slows down the pass rush. It creates wide open throwing windows down the field because the linebackers bite. And so everyone knows it's easier to play quarterback on a team that averages 5.5 yards per carry than a team that averages 4 yards a carry. And that's elementary. We know that. Justin Fields, that's the thing about Ohio State quarterbacks. They go to a school that averages 5.5 yards per carry consistently. It's so easy to play quarterback there. BYU, yeah, his receivers aren't that great. His run game works. The defenses he's facing are terrible. They have to defend everything, not just the pass and the run. All right? So Zack Wilson, I love him. If the Niners get him, great. He went to one of the best possible spots. He's a project, I think. Not a project, but he's an enigma. He's an enigma with big-time talent. But on the physical scale, like, is he Russell Wilson? I don't think so. Does he have that? People like him because of his athleticism. How athletic is he? Is he Patrick Mahomes? No, he's not big like that. He's not Patrick Mahomes. So what is the comparison here for Zack Wilson? Is it Kyler Murray? Hell no. Russell Wilson? Hell no. I saw Eric Crocker today say Johnny Manziel athletically. That's kind of fair. Now, I think athletically, Zack Wilson's got a little bit more juice. I think he'll run a faster 40. I think he's got a better arm. I think Johnny Manziel threw a lot of kind of crap throws up for grabs and got bailed out by Mike Evans. Wasn't particularly accurate. I think Zack Wilson may have more of maybe a more pinpoint downfield thrower. But it's pretty close. He's not that much bigger than Johnny Manziel. He's not that much faster than Johnny Manziel. It's comparable. And I saw Johnny Manziel in person in Cleveland when he beat Blaine Gabbert in the 49ers. I was at that game. He didn't look that athletic. He looked like a guy who was hanging on to his career by a thread. I'm not saying Zack Wilson's going to go out like that, but maybe Johnny Manziel could have had a successful career if he hadn't have been the person he is. If he hadn't been so self-destructive and he'd been more. But I mean, what I saw is he was not a special athlete. He was a decent athlete. Is Zack Wilson a special athlete? Special plus? I mean, decent plus? Decent plus? I don't know. And I mean, it's great that he's not, he's would you want to take the Mormon Johnny Manziel? Does that Is that something you like? Can I sell that to you? Mormon Johnny Manziel? I don't even know if Zack Wilson is Mormon. I'm assuming here. The Mormon Manziel. This kind of has a ring to it. The Mormon Manziel. But it kind of puts a damper in the whole situation when you put it that way. So let's move on to the next guy, and then I'll take some questions. I promise. The guy I like, Kyle Trask. And it comes back to my point of people get too caught up in the type of quarterback they want, what kind of quarterback they want. It's the mistake Kyle Shanahan made in 2017. He wanted a pocket quarterback. He wanted an old school pocket quarterback. And he wanted to turn on that tape and watch that quarterback under center, do a play action pass, turn his back to the defense, turn back around and bomb it downfield. And you know what? By golly, he just couldn't see that on tape from Mitchell Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, or Patrick Mahomes. They were in shotgun spread offenses. Now, they were all executing NFL concepts in their passing game. Watson and Mahomes especially. But they just weren't doing Kyle Shanahan concepts. They weren't getting under center, doing the play action, throwing downfield, the way they do in the Big Ten. And you know who did? CJ Beathard. So Kyle wanted a specific type. I want that quarterback. I don't care about – I can't even scout Mahomes and Watson. They don't even do half the things I'm going to ask them to do. And I'm a wide receiver coach. Who am I to coach quarterbacks? I want Beathard. At least I know that he can turn his back to the defense and make throws because I see him do it. That's the mistake you get into. And now everyone's like, well, we need a mobile quarterback. We need this type of quarterback for these reasons. Well, just sign Colin Kaepernick then. He's out there. Are we going full circle here? The you want is the best quarterback. And I'm starting to think it's Kyle Trask. There's more time. These guys have more to prove, and we'll have a better understanding by the end of the season. But Trevor Lawrence is in his own class. After him, I think it's Trask. I think Trask is my second favorite quarterback in the draft. And let me make the case. All right. Why? It's just that I have fewer questions about him. Fewer questions. Earlier, I made a big stink with Justin Fields and Zack Wilson about they have really good run games. Both those teams average more than 5 yards a carry. Florida does it. Florida averages 4.1 yards per carry. They rank 80th in the nation in yards per attempt. Teams don't come in to the matchup against Florida and be like, how are we going to stop this run game? No, it's all about Trask and his weapons. The offensive line stinks in Florida. He's constantly under pressure. He's playing a difficult SEC schedule. He's constantly under pressure. He's not like Mac Jones at Alabama, who has a clean pocket all the time. He's not playing with a bunch of first-round picks on the offensive line. Watch Kyle Trask. And when you watch him, focus on the pockets he's in and compare it to the pockets you see from Zack Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Those guys just stand in one place and Lance and Fields in particular stand in one place. Wilson runs around but doesn't really have to. He just kind of has fun, and he's constantly running around. But he's there's no one around him. Kyle Trask is getting hit or he's subtly moving. He's under pressure all the time. So I don't have to wonder, what's it going to look like when he's around real NFL speed? He's around it every Saturday, and he handles it beautifully. So there's that. I don't have a question there. The other thing I don't have a question about, which is the other thing that's the most important thing about quarterbacks, accuracy. He is deadly accurate, pinpoint accurate. People say he doesn't have a strong arm. I don't know. He doesn't have a Matt Stafford arm, but he has a Jared Goff arm. It's feathery. He can take some velocity off. He can put velocity on. He can make every throw, and he can put it exactly where he wants to put it. And he has confidence in it. He will routinely throw into small windows, and he'll hit wide receivers who are in man-to-man coverage, running away from him, put it on him where only the receiver can catch it. Watch the ball placement for Kyle Trask. It's terrific. And these are throws he's making while moving in the pocket, not while stationary because he's in the Big Ten with the best run game in the league. He's dropping back from the shotgun, bodies around him, he's decisive. He doesn't hit his back foot and be like, oh, are you open? Oh, maybe should I go to my second read? Or, oh, no. He either makes a throw or he goes to the next read. He's consistently knows where to go to. He's smart. I'm gushing about him. He's smart. He's graduated already. You don't have to worry about his work ethic. Everyone says he's a junkie. He was a backup quarterback for 6 years in high school and in college. Never complained, didn't transfer. He has character. A lot of these kids these days will transfer, go to school until they become a starter. Not him. So he's accurate. He's tough. He moves around. It's like he throws like Jared Goff, but he doesn't play like Jared Goff. Jared Goff is not tough. He doesn't handle pressure well. He played in the Pac-12. He wasn't used to having bodies around him when he got in the NFL. He stinks. Kyle Trask is like, has the Jared Goff arm, but he's a real pocket quarterback. I mean, I don't know who I don't know who he reminds me of. I mean, he's got to be the best pocket quarterback to come out of college football in a long time. But the thing about Trevor Lawrence is an athlete. Trevor Lawrence can move. Trevor Lawrence is really athletic. Kyle Trask is a pure pocket quarterback, and he's smart. He's tough. He's under pressure. He has no run game. He makes throws off his back foot. He makes throws downfield. Everything you need to see, like, can he do this? Because he's going to have to see this in the NFL. Yeah. Now, is he going to be Peyton Manning? I don't know. Probably not. Is he going to be Tom Brady? Probably not. Is he going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback? I don't know. But is he going to be the best quarterback from this draft or the best one other than Trevor Lawrence? I think he has a good chance. He's putting up better numbers this year than Joe Burrow put up last year. Why did Joe Burrow get so much more momentum than this kid? I think it's something about Joe Burrow's personality. Joe Burrow kind of had this like cockiness about him with the cigar. And there's something about Joe Burrow's personality that's like, yeah, I like that guy. And Kyle Trask just kind of has a little bit more of like a nerdy disposition. He doesn't call attention to himself. I don't know what it is, but the numbers are there. The circumstance is the same. Like people say he has really good receivers. He does too. He has really good receivers. Not a good O-line, not a good run game. Really good receivers. His tight end, Kyle Pitts, is better than him. Is going to go higher than him. And his receivers are good too. But Burrow had good receivers. Burrow had Justin Jefferson, who has 1,000 yards right now for the Vikings with 4 games left as a rookie. Plus Jamar Chase, who's even better than Justin Jefferson and coming out this year. In the upcoming draft. So I don't see how you knock him. Joe Burrow, just like Kyle Trask, was in the SEC, but not at Alabama. He was at LSU. He also had a first-round pick at running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's at Kansas City. Trask doesn't have that. I'm telling you, everyone wants a mobile quarterback, and they look at Trask, and they're like, well, you're just not mobile, so you're not the kind of quarterback we want right now. He's just good. I don't know what to say. Look, I'm not a scout yet. I'm telling you, he's going to be good. Unless he gets drafted by like Matt Nagy or something like that, For his sake, I hope he doesn't. He's going to be good. And I feel that I'm more confident about that, saying that, than I am about any of the other quarterbacks besides Trevor Lawrence. Wilson has a higher ceiling. Lance, higher ceiling. Fields, higher ceiling. No question. I don't question that. They absolutely do. But I feel like Trask is bust-proof. And if you don't believe me, watch him next weekend. Watch him any weekend. He's always good. Watch the pocket. Watch the ball placement. Watch his decisiveness. Hits the back foot, ball out. Knows where to go. Finds the open man. Puts it right on him. It's not flashy. It's just effective. I don't know. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to like it too. Keep it in mind. All right. That's my spiel on Kyle Trask. I've talked about him a lot of times. I'll stop. If you have any questions you want to ask, go ahead. Otherwise, we can go watch some football tonight. Ian, but I don't really know anything about the Notre Dame quarterback. Sorry. Hold on. I am taking questions. Yeah, Kevin, for sure. Would Robert Saleh be a better coach than Kyle Shanahan? I do think it's going to be interesting to compare Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh when they leave each other, because I believe that Robert Saleh is a better big picture guy. It is a better leader of men than Kyle. I do. But that doesn't mean he's going to be a more successful head coach, because Saleh is always going to be at the mercy of his offensive coordinator. I don't know who Robert Saleh's offensive coordinator is. If it's Rich Scangarello, they're not going to win many games. And it doesn't really matter what kind of leader Robert Saleh is, how he, it's just not going to matter. That's the thing. So I can't really say how good of a head coach, Kevin, I'm going to get to you, I promise. I can't really say how good of a head coach Robert Saleh is going to be until I know who his OC is going to be. I believe in Robert Saleh, but it really helps that he gets to work with Kyle Shanahan, who's a top 5 OC in the league. He's not going to bring Kyle Shanahan with him. Thing about Kyle, when he has to replace Robert Saleh, he's not just replacing a defensive coordinator. He's replacing a head coach, a guy who thinks big picture, who has an effect on a team that's beyond game plans and scheme. It's how they play, the passion they play with, all of it. How is he going to replace that? Is Raheem Morris going to be able to fill all of the head coaching duties that I think Robert Saleh filled? See, to me, Robert Saleh is such an amazing guy. He's basically picking up the slack for an offensive coordinator, a great offensive coordinator, but a guy who's very much into the details of offense. Kyle is a detail guy, all right? Saleh's a detail guy too, but he's a big picture guy. And he allows Kyle to be in the details on offense where he's home, where he's comfortable, where he's great. And he picks up the slack of the hows, the mantras, all the other stuff that isn't, the X's and O's of offense. That's Saleh. The messaging, the positivity, all of it, the how, not the, I don't really know, but you know what I'm saying. So when he leaves, who's the new coordinator who has that type of vision, who has that type of panoramic vision, not just Polaroid. I think of Shanahan in the lab looking through a microscope, getting real deep into what exact blocking scheme to use, or how to pull the left guard, or what angle to get the running back, or these blocks. He's great at that. Saleh's the one thinking big picture. And that's not usually the coordinator's job. So Shanahan has to get a brilliant defensive coordinator who has no help. There's no one on the Niners who knows defense. You're on your own. There's no senior guy there helping you. And you kind of need to be a head coach type 2, because the head coach we got in Santa Clara isn't the most. I mean, he's down to earth. He keeps it real, but he's not like, he's not that. Saleh looks like he could run for office. He looks like senatorial. Shanahan looks like he has been around football his whole life, and that's it. It's like the difference between Kevin Durant and LeBron James. I used to cover basketball for the Santa Rosa Press-Democrat, and when you would cover the finals, Kevin Durant would come in and he'd be Kyle Shanahan. He'd sit there in his jumpsuit, in his sweatsuit. He's a millionaire, but he's not trying to look like it. He's a basketball player. He's got his little hoodie on, and he's sweaty, and he's got his shorts, and he's not trying to put on airs. He's just a humble basketball player. LeBron James comes in. He's got like a suit on. He's got luggage. He's got the Louis V luggage. He's got the suit, but maybe it's like the Armani suit, and it's like tailored with special leather freaking shorts. That's him. It's like he just takes he's like, I'm on camera. I represent the state of Ohio. I represent the NBA. It's a whole different thing. Like Kyle Shanahan's like, I represent me and, good football ideas. Robert Saleh's like, I represent the 49ers, the state of Michigan, and the United States of the country. That's the kind of guy they got to get. All right, Kevin. Do you think NFL defenses are catching up to mobile quarterbacks? Kyler, Lamar, Cam coming back down to earth? Yes, I do. I think it's very difficult to defend them, but you get more practice. You get a better feel for their speed. And then ultimately you contain them in the pocket and make them make NFL throws, and either they can or they can't. Cam can't. Maybe Lamar can. He just doesn't have good wide receivers in his his coordinator, Greg Roman, doesn't know the first thing about the drop back passing game. Niner fans know that. So yeah, I mean, keep that in mind when everyone wants a mobile quarterback. Let's see what these mobile quarterbacks do down the stretch, because usually the one who wins the Super Bowl is a guy who can make throws from the pocket. And if you can't, then you better be just freaking off the charts at everything else and have a great defense, I think. It's an interesting question. NFL defense is catching up with the mobile quarterbacks. The evidence seems to suggest yes. I mean, look at the Niners. The Niners struggled much more with mobile quarterbacks earlier this season than now. And I think we expect the second time they face Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, they'll do better than they did the first time. Now, not having Quan Alexander helps, because Quan Alexander, he's like the guy who falls for the same trick every single time. He's like the guy in class where you tap him on the other shoulder and he always looks for it. He never realizes that it's coming, that you're actually doing the reach. It's like, again, I've been doing this since 6th grade. We're 35. Quan. What? So they don't have him anymore. I think the Niners are getting a better feel for it. Yeah, I think so. Because these NFL defenses are fast too. They're fast too. They just have to make an emphasis to stop the guy. Like, don't be surprised when Kyler Murray runs. All right, let's see what else we got. I know someone else asked a question. It is from David Velez at 516. Let me see if I can go back and find it. David. That is your real name. I don't even know. Okay, here you go. If the 49ers beat the Bills, are they in the playoffs? I think so. I addressed this earlier. It's a good question. You may not have been there when I broke down the playoffs, so I'll say it again. It's possible the Niners win the rest of their games and don't make the playoffs, because the Vikings could win the rest of their games too, and then the Niners and Vikings would have the same 10-6 record, and the Vikings would have, I believe, the tiebreaker, because they have a better record in the NFC. The Niners have 5 losses in the NFC. The Vikings have 4. So beating the Bills would help, but the Niners need the Vikings to lose a couple games. Fortunately for the Niners, the Vikings have upcoming road games against Tampa, New Orleans, and Detroit. Not easy. So things look pretty good. If you have a question you want me to ask, you can tip me, or you can just ask it, and if it's good, I'll answer it anyway. But if it's not good and you tip me, I'll definitely answer it. And I'll pretend it's good. You'll never know what I really thought about your question. But if it is a good question and it's no tip, then I'll answer it anyway, just because I appreciate good questions. Yes, Hans. All right. Well, I still like you, Hans. And I'm addressing you. But if you ask a question, I'm not going to answer it unless it's good. Grant, do I manscape? That's a good question. I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. I plead the fifth. Could the Niners still win the NFC West? I mean, I guess, right? Like, if the other 3 teams lose like all the rest of their games and stuff, I guess. I don't know. You guys would know better than me. I don't know. I'm still thinking about the manscaping question. I didn't have as much poise. I didn't want to answer that question. So I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. Ooh. Austerius. I haven't talked to you since last year. You've been around forever. Great to hear from you. And I'll get to another question too, but I want to answer Austerius first. Is a quarterback's bad decision-making a player problem or a coaching one? It's both. No, it's both. But I believe good coaches can improve a player's decision-making process or simplify it. And you see it with coaches who can get a quarterback to lower their interceptions, right? I think that's pretty much what you see it. Jim Harbaugh did that. Alex Smith was not necessarily a good decision maker before Jim Harbaugh got there. He would try to do too much. There was too much pressure on him. He's on a bad team, number 1 pick. Aaron Rodgers balling in Green Bay. He often felt like he needed to justify things. He would make horrendous throws. He had a lot of picks before Harbaugh got there. Harbaugh gets there, simplifies the decision-making process. The one thing he did, he took option routes out. Option routes are, if it's zone, you do this. If you get this kind of leverage, you do this. And it's like quarterbacks and wide receivers reading things at the same time on the fly. And that requires a lot of experience and smarts. And, if you read it one way and the wide receiver reads it differently, interception, and it's your fault. It's on your stat sheet, not the wide receivers. So Harbaugh took that out and just said, everyone's running the same routes. And if there's a blitz, we have a built-in hot route. You throw here. And that worked for Alex Smith. He eventually went to Kansas City and graduated to more sophisticated offenses. But no question. Another one, Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer threw a ton of picks in Cincinnati and in Oakland. Then he went to Arizona, linked up with Bruce Arians, who is a good coach, or used to be. I don't know if he is anymore. I don't think he is anymore. But he used to be a good coach. And all of a sudden, Carson Palmer eventually became a MVP candidate and cut his interceptions down eventually. So you can have, I think, a good coach can improve a quarterback's decision-making process, but I don't know if anyone could have helped Jay Cutler. Some of these guys, you just can't, you know what I mean? I don't know. Some of these guys just, they're hopeless. Good question. And good to see you, Austerius. Why did McGlinchey become vegan and start buying crystals? Is that true? I don't know. Is he really vegan? I don't know. I've never actually seen that he's vegan. You guys are going to have to tell me that one. I'm not going to slander dude until you show me in writing from a reputable source, a .org, okay, that he is a vegan. And if he is, then we'll talk about it. We got another one from Luis at 522. I'm getting to you, Luis. Hold on. Here we go. How old are you and what's the future for you? Are you eventually going to cover other teams? Ooh. Luis, I'm just taking it one day at a time. You know what I'm saying? The Bills, they have a really explosive defense. They're fast. They're well coached. I'm just going to, try to follow the game plan, execute. Honestly, it's not even on my mind. I loved it the other day. So Robert Saleh was asked all these questions on Friday about the Lions because, the lobbyists came out and the politicians are trying to get the Lions to hire him. And they're like, so Robert, Matt Mayoko, what does it feel like to have so many people pulling for you and trying to get you hired by the Lions? And Saleh goes with a straight face. He goes, I really don't know what you're talking about. I'm just so focused on the Bills right now. I don't even know. Like I don't even follow things like that. It's kind of, I guess it's cool for my family. Dude, he doesn't know. It's so funny. I'm not really thinking about my future. I'm just trying to go day by day and we'll see what happens, Do I think I'll eventually cover other teams? I don't see it. Why would I leave the Bay Area and start from scratch covering another team when I have such a lucrative business covering the Niners? Like, why would I? Like, this is doing well. This is working for me. I don't understand. Now, if I became a national guy, like if Fox were to fire Colin Cowherd and replace him with me, sure. If Fox were to fire Skip Bayless and replace him with me, you know what? I could find some time in my day to stop covering the Niners and become a national sensation, which is just a matter of time. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. So I think eventually I won't be covering the Niners anymore, although why would I even, again, God willing and the creek don't rise. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think 2 steps ahead, 3 days ahead. What's going to happen tomorrow? What kind of work ethic am I going to have tomorrow? All I can control is what's in front of me. I don't know. So that's basically my thinking. Like, if the Niners want to make me the defensive coordinator next year when Robert Saleh leaves, great. I'll give up being a media mogul, internet sensation to help the Niners out, be a slight pay cut, going from YouTube phenomenon to, the mere defensive coordinator of an NFL team. But I don't do it for the money. I don't, I do it for the look on the faces of all the children out there. I do it for the children, I'm 32. That was the original question. How old are you? I'm 32 years old. So am I going anywhere anytime soon? Who am I to say? Who am I to say? I just take it one day at a time. I just control what I can control. I try not to get too high or too low. It's like you don't want to get too high or too low. You want to stay right there. So really, it's up to you guys where I go. If you guys like me too much, I might leave. So I think the key is to keep writing negative things and disliking my videos, and then I probably won't ever go anywhere. So you can keep me here. It's up to you. If you hate me, say you like me. So someone, will hire me sooner. If you like me, say you hate me. And then all the employers will be turned off. But you know what? I don't think any of these guys are hiring me anytime soon. I'm just too raw, too real. Plus, I like Sports Illustrated. They get it. When Dave Chappelle did that little rant a couple of weeks ago about how much he hates Viacom and HBO and really appreciates Netflix, SI is my Netflix. I really appreciate SI. God, they don't tell me not to say stuff, not to do stuff. They're not. I'm pretty out there. And a lot of bosses have been like, Grant, you can't talk like this. You can't do this. It's nice because I feel like you guys get it. You guys finally get me. It's nice to have a backing of such a prestigious company being like, Grant, do your thing. We support you. That's why we wanted you in the first place. It's really nice. I don't know where I was going with that. But next question. Saleh goes to Chargers, Warner and Sherman to follow. Ooh. Interesting you should mention the Chargers. To me, that is the job he should go for. Maybe he has like a sweet spot in his heart for the Lions because he grew up in Michigan. Maybe he really likes the idea of bringing his wife and 13 children back home to, I think it's 6, to Michigan and, having like a homecoming. I'm sure it would sound really, he'd be like the president or he'd like be the governor of Michigan. That'd be great. But it's LA, first of all. Second of all, it's a better team. I don't know if it's a better franchise. It's a better team. Matt Stafford is good. He's too expensive and he's not young. Justin Herbert is a franchise quarterback. He's at least as good as Matt Stafford, if not better. And he's young and cheap. And they also have Keenan Allen. They also have Joey Bosa. Oh, yeah, that's the job. I put out a tweet today. If you were Robert Saleh, where would you want to go? The Lions or the Chargers? I think it was 85% of people said the Chargers. Yeah, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. So, yeah, Saleh, he no crazy. I don't think he would go, I don't know. But, yeah, if he goes to the Chargers, would Sherman and Warner follow? I think Sherman would. It's interesting. I wonder how loyal Saleh would be to Sherman. Because if Saleh gets a job, there are 2 people he needs to thank more than anyone. If he gets a head coaching job, 2 people lobbied for him the most, and I think put him in that position. 1 is Richard Sherman. 2 is me. Richard Sherman, every time he goes up on the press and does a press conference and goes on and on about how good Robert Saleh is, that means a lot. Richard Sherman knows what he's talking about. He's like the Tony Romo of defense. Everything he says is right on. He's brilliant. I mean, he might know defense better than Saleh. If he says Saleh's the real deal and a leader of men, people are like, well, that's kind of all I need to hear. And then there's me. I mean, I just have a much bigger platform than Richard Sherman. I don't know football as well as Sherman. It's just that when he speaks, he only has like a million or 2 followers on Twitter. I mean, when I speak, the whole world listens. So Sherman tries. It's just that, So what I'm saying is Sherman, I think, would love to follow Saleh because I don't know how many coaches really want Sherman. He's very vocal. He's kind of expensive and he's very scheme specific. I think Saleh, it works, seems to work. He's his go-to guy in terms of leadership. I talked about with Warner, I don't think the Niners would let Warner go. I don't think Warner wants to go. But if they feel like his price is too high and they're looking for a trade partner, I'm sure Robert Saleh in LA, if that's where he is, would hit him up and be like, oh, yeah, we'll take him. So I'm guessing Fred Warner would love to stay with the Niners just the way DeForest Buckner would have loved to stay here, and it's up to the Niners. We'll see if they want to spend $20 million plus on a defensive player who's not a pass rusher or not an edge rusher, because they didn't seem to want to do that for DeForest Buckner. And Fred Warner is a linebacker, but he covers. So I don't know. I don't see Warner going anywhere. I don't see him going anywhere. Can the Niners make the Super Bowl? Yeah. Why not? If they get to the playoffs, Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle could come back. I think making the playoffs might be more difficult than making the Super Bowl. If you make, if they make the playoffs, that process could be more difficult than the subsequent process of then making the Super Bowl, if that makes any sense. Although making it as a 7 seed would be really tough because you'd have road game, which is like good luck. You saw what the Niners looked like when they went to New England and then went to Seattle the next week. Yeah. So when you put it that way, not good. Not good. Remember how the Vikings looked after they beat the Saints in the playoffs and came to the Niners and got destroyed? Yeah. Kind of like that. Dog, what's your question? Holler at me. Where is Ben Garland? When will he return? I don't know. I forgot to ask. I asked about D Ford, and he said he ain't coming back. I'll ask about Ben Garland, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon. Dude, you keep not asking a question, Kevin. Oh, God. You are something else. I'll tell you, you're a piece of work. Kevin Wang is a real piece of work. Can't wait for D Ford to come back in the playoffs. Don't hold your breath. Road games are really not really road games right now. It's the travel. It's not the fans yelling, although that has an effect. It's the accumulation of travel. Again, the Niners look great in New England. They flew to Seattle and got the doors blown off. It's just exhausting. It's tiring enough that it's a factor against another team that doesn't have to deal with it. Dog. If Nick Mullins goes on a playoff run, do you bench him for Jimmy, though? Hey, that is a good question, though. Did anyone else go to high school with kids who would end like every other sentence with the word though? I did. Hey, did anyone else go to high school with kids who would end every other sentence with the word though? I did. Those kids were pretty funny, though. Why do they do that? Anyway, Juan. Hey, that's a good question, though. Yeah, if Nick Mullins, he said, okay, all right, hypothetical central. Let's say Nick Mullins beats the 8-3 Rams after beating the let's say he beats the Bills after beating the Rams, 2 playoff teams. Jimmy's not coming back after that. Then you'd have Washington, Dallas, 2 more presumed wins. If Nick Mullins wins 4 in a row, is Jimmy coming back? Do you really go to Jimmy at that point? I don't think you do. I don't think you do. What you do, if Nick Mullins wins the next 3 and Jimmy's healthy, he can be Nick Mullins' backup. I think that's fair. And then if Nick Mullins, who in this hypothetical world 3 weeks from now is on a 4-game winning streak, okay, if that's where we're at, 4-game winning streak, Nick Mullins with healthy Jimmy Garoppolo, you hold the clipboard, you cheer on Nick, and Kyle, if Nick struggles, you can have a quick hook. If you want to play them both, if you want to go to Jimmy Garoppolo during the Cardinals game before it's over because Nick's struggling and you're losing, by all means. But I don't see, it's like, I always go back to baseball. Okay, you can, Jimmy's warming up. He's in the bullpen. You can go to him whenever you want. When's the right time? Are you going to bring him in when the other pitcher is dealing and cruising and just having 1, 2, 3 innings? Why? You can always go to that guy. So it seems to me that it's basically Nick's job until he blows it. Now, so far, he's only won 1 game. We're projecting 3 weeks down the line. But if he does go on a win streak, I don't see why you would bench someone like that. Especially for a guy who's been out for a long time. It's not like Jimmy would be rusty at first, right? You throw him into a must-win game. He hasn't played for a while, and the guy who's come in is hot, hypothetically. Doesn't make sense. So, Adrian, 537. Let me get to you. I'm not talking, you guys. Oh, are you Republican or Democrat? And you guys crazy. Well, I don't want to talk politics. That's not fun. Put Aaron Donald on. I'm a Democrat. I voted for Joe Biden. It's so fun talking politics. I never think about politics. I just think about the Niners 24/7. I'm the most trivial person in the world. Every time I go to my dad's house, he's like, "Oh, I just started this new book. I'm rereading Elmore Leonard." And he's keep trying to be like, "So when are you going to read something?" I'm like, "Dad, I post 17 videos a day on YouTube and I go live twice. I will read a book when the season's over." I'm really like, it's so funny. I'm like making all this money and doing really well. And for the first time, it looks like my life's going to work out okay. But my dad would just be a little happier if I could like manage to like read for an hour a night. It's so funny. It's like, yeah, my son's doing well and financially supporting himself, and I don't have to worry about him anymore or support him at all. But I wish he would just read a book. It's like, Dad, I promise I will. I like reading. Honestly, he's like his level of proudness in me is like an A-. I swear, I bet if he's on the phone with his kids, like, no, he's doing great. He's doing really good. I just honestly, between me and you, I wish he would read a book. I wish he'd read. I gave him. It's a book right there. Gave him one right there. I haven't opened it yet. I'm in trouble. Don't tell him, all right? I don't think he's going to watch this one. We're an hour deep. I don't think he's going to watch this one. All right. Although I didn't answer the question. Put Aaron Donald on a healthy 49er squad. Are we the monsters of the Bay? Yeah. Jeez. They have a top 6 defense without him. Sorry, Adrian. Good question. Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Maitland Eagle says Trump in all caps. That's not a question. But that is a word. And you spelt it correctly. So, nice. If Nick goes on 4 wins straight, bringing in Jimmy would be like bringing in Blake Snell in the World Series. You ride the hot hand. Yeah. It's such a good comment. I'm going to make sure it gets a little screen time because I know you want the screen time. I know you want that screen time. If Nick goes on 4 wins straight, bringing in Jimmy would be like bringing in Blake Snell in the World Series. You ride the hot hand. Yeah. You ride the hot hand. You don't lose your job because of injury, but you also go with the hot hand. It's a hot hand theory. And Nick Mullins is not the hot hand yet. 1 win does not the hot hand make. It doesn't. 4 is yes. 2 is it maybe. If he beats Buffalo, oh my God, it gets interesting. It gets interesting. Raise your hand if you think if you expect the Niners to beat Buffalo. Raise your hand right now at home. Let me see those hands. Let me see those hands. You don't really expect the Niners to win. You don't. It's okay. Maybe they won't. If the Niners lose and Nick Mullins plays well, do you understand how much crap I'm going to take? Do you know? Do you understand? Like, I'm almost nervous because of that. Like, the thing about it's like there's a lot of people who like me, but there's a lot more people who don't like me, is what I've noticed. A lot of people like me. A lot more don't. And they're like, I'm kind of popular now. And that could change. And then I feel like a lot of people don't really feel the license to like really crap on me the way they used to. But on Sundays, when Ross Dwelly misses a block or Nick Mullins throws an incomplete pass, they let me hear it. And you can tell which people hate me the most because they can't wait to tweet me or text me. It's like first quarter, 5 minutes in, Niners go 3 and out, 8 texts or like 3. See, this is what I told you about Nick Mullins. This is what I told you, and you don't listen. It's like, dude, can you let this kid finish the game? Can you please stop texting me? Because technically, I do this for a living, and this is my job. And this is like final exams for me, and you're blowing me up. This isn't for fun. So I always notice, it's like there's a lot of people who are just ready to pounce. It's like, see, I told you, Nick Mullins stinks. It's like, man, he's 11 for 14. Give him a break. Don't give him a break. Give me a break. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what you think. I pretend to care what you think. I don't care what you think. I really don't. Don't text me. that you were wrong, that you were right and I was wrong. Great. Write a blog about it. Make a podcast. I was right. Grant was wrong. Go for it. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. All right. What else we got? Jay. Boy. Hold on. Jay, 541. The question is, would you give up a second rounder for Sam Darnold? Hold on. I just want to put it up on the screen because I know you want to get some of that credit because it's a good question. Hold on. Oh, it's gone. All right. Joshua Carrig said, would you give up a second rounder for Sam Darnold? No. No. Honestly, no. I would rather sign Mitchell Trubisky and not trade a pick for him than to give up a second round pick for Sam Darnold, who I'm not even sure is better than Mitchell Trubisky. Those are both a couple of losers who are broken right now. So give me the cheaper broken loser. I want the cheaper broken loser, not the broken loser for a second round pick. And if you're Sam Darnold or Sam Darnold's parents, I'm sorry I called your son a broken loser. I mean it in like the football sense of the world. He's a winner in life. He's still a broken loser in terms of NFL quarterbacks. We got another question. This one from it was not a question. It's just a $3 tip. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Guys, I want to go watch the game. I'm not running for president, but thank you. I'm going to go watch the game. You guys should too. And I'll be back tomorrow morning. Okay? All right? Okay? All right. Take care, guys. Love your work.